Hey guys, welcome back. It is episode 12 of Life After Prep, and I've got to tell you, this week I have considered quite a few things actually in our at-home isolation environment. The first was, do I consider opening a car washing business? Because I found that I have quite the talent for washing vehicles. The second was, what about bike repairs? I think I've repaired several bikes this week, and that extends to adjusting brakes, tightening screws, readjusting seat heights, amongst other things. And the final two, I contemplated cutting my hair, because right now, like, my fringe bangs, it's an issue. And I don't know, I'm just imagining I could look really strange in a few weeks. And if you notice, I probably gave in to those inner voices, but I didn't. My logic kind of convinced me otherwise, and also the regrowth, it is real. It's very real. So I'm just like, do I order some colour? I know, I thought about it, I really did. Again, thankfully I'm a logical human and I know that it's not my area of expertise, so I'm going to stay in my lane and I'm just going to ride it out. And I was not prepared for the coronavirus. So the last time that I had my hair coloured was pre-Australia. We left to go to Australia for my sister's wedding on the 10th of February. Yeah, it's real. I'm almost out of my purple shampoo. Gonna have to stock up on that. But there's only so much like you can get away with purple shampoo. Ladies, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'm not even gonna start on my nails. I tried to paint them the other day and I got halfway through and I just put it down. And I just was like, we'll save it for somebody else. So it's been a fun week. All of my beautiful things are just shining through, and I don't know, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Just kind of embracing like the suck. I have had to start facing away from the mirror in our gym because I'm just like, thanks, but no thanks. So that's been really fun. I can't tell you the number of times I haven't bothered to change out of fitness clothing in the last couple of weeks. I've basically lived in sports clothes and pajamas, or like active wear that kind of doubles as pajamas. There have definitely been days I've put on the same clothes because I haven't left the house and I didn't get sweaty. So why not? No one else knows. So yeah, it's been interesting, the things that we do and what we can get away with. Yeah, same with makeup. I think I've gone, I don't know ladies, but I have not really felt the desire to put makeup on. I mean, I've had a few Zoom calls and some video check-ins where I've had to be presentable and professional. But aside from that, I'm like, hell no, I just gained back a few hours of my day. Anyway, that's enough about COVID and sacrificing social life and beauty treatments, etc. And we'll have a look at how I did this week. So in last week's update, I think I talked to you guys about macros, failing my mini cut. That's a couple of weeks ago now. And then I'm just kind of getting back on the reverse diet bandwagon. And it's pretty uncomfortable. It's underrated uncomfortable. I think it probably is glamorized a little bit. We hear a lot of the success stories where people, you know, they lose weight, which is a phenomenon. It does happen, but it's not something that occurs all the time. Some people gain very little, and others will gain a little bit, but they also do it in a very conservative way and they're very calculated. For the most of us, as we go through that reverse diet process, and you see the physical changes, a little bit more body fat, you know, creeping its way in, it's really, really challenging and it doesn't make it any easier. I kind of just am like, oh God, I don't even need Botox anymore. I've got so much cheek happening because I've got extra body fat and I'm somebody that gains it back like in my face. So if you look at my like lean body composition and my face structure to when I put body fat back on, it's just like, oh, I know where she stores her body fat. It's been really nice applying makeup because I don't have any creases. I've got a beautiful plush face to paint in the morning. Yeah, it has been a little bit challenging, but what I will say, and something that I've kind of really embraced in the last couple of weeks, is just how good it feels to be strong. Like today, I got back in the gym, and this is week 6, I guess, of my current training block, and it will be on my final week, and then I'll redo my new one. And it's, I think, about that amount of time since we've kind of all been stuck at home. Oh my God, I got in to do the deadlifts this morning. I had trap bar deadlifts at a higher rep range. It's not normally something that I would do. I'd usually do high reps on the leg press. I don't normally do high rep squats just because it's so taxing. I choose kind of high rep ranges for some of those smaller accessory style movements, not my compound lifts. But this week I've been doing trap bar deadlifts up to 15, and I hit a PR this week. So it was week 6 of my program. I didn't know what my PR was before, mind you. But for the program, I got all the way up to 235 for 15 reps on the trap bar. So I kind of walked away and was kind of reflecting on that training session and how it felt 6 weeks ago when I was still trying to keep, going through restricted calories and kind of upkeep my high intensity interval training and the cardio. And it's just night and day improvement. I had so much energy this week and the last couple of weeks, just kind of making that transition onto higher calories, and just so much strength and energy to just go for it. So that's been really, it's kind of overshadowed any of the negativity that I do have when it comes to body composition and self-image. This week, what I thought I would do is show you, I guess, my compliance. So we'll have a look and see my tracking. And before we do go and do that, I will share with you something quickly, because people ask me all the time, do you religiously, log all of your foods? And the answer is actually no, not anymore. And there's a couple of reasons for that. There is a difference to how I track and what I do when I'm in contest prep season versus my off season. And I'll explain why that is. So when you're dieting for a show and your calories are more restricted, there's less flexibility for all of the foods that you want to eat. So you kind of have to start tracking and keeping a close eye on how it's adding up over the course of the day, because you want to make sure that you are compliant. And of course, as you're getting closer and closer to being on stage and your calories are getting to the lower end, you have far less room for error. So we've talked about maintenance calorie ranges, we've talked about tracking errors in past videos. And on 1200 calories, which might be somebody's end of diet macro targets, if you make a small mistake, that can literally throw you back out of a deficit and you're no longer losing weight. So you have to be pretty, mindful and track as you go. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, for me now, kind of coming out of that rigidity, and although I did try and dive back into it for the few weeks of my mini cut where I did track consistently, now that my calories are much higher and I have more flexibility, I don't need to be as mindful throughout the day, because I know I'm not going to exceed my targets like I would if I was dieting, because I have more room to play with. So what I can do is, throughout the day, I might make a mental note of kind of the things that I'm eating. I might write it down, because I do have a terrible memory when I'm trying to think about all the other things I've got going on. So I'll make a mental note. Okay, I've had a protein shake, first thing in the morning when I got up with some creamer in my coffees. Then I had a meal. That meal I know roughly has 35 grams of protein, under 20 grams of carbs. So I'm kind of tallying it up over the course of the day, but I'm not actually logging. I'm just thinking about it. And then maybe at my last meal, so maybe at 9 o'clock as I'm, sitting down, getting ready to go to bed, then I'll kind of plan it out or pop it in my tracker or write it down, whatever my method is at the time, and just see where I'm at. And I can get away with that, because whatever I've eaten throughout the day, it probably doesn't matter, because it's unlikely that I'll have hit those targets. So I am a little bit, easier on myself when I'm not competing, because I don't need to be. And that's the beauty of the reverse diet. So for the first, 6 to 10 weeks for somebody that has just come out of an aggressive cut, you do have to be pretty strict, and you do still have to track. So it still kind of feels like a lot of work as you're kind of increasing and coming out of that. But, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel, it's there. You're looking at what the goal can be, and the freedom is there. It's just waiting for you to get there. So it's just patience and kind of working towards that goal so that you can have that flexibility. And I think I'm also very fortunate to have done my degree, my master's in dietetics. So, you are scrutinized and tested on like tracking foods, estimating, weighing, like, and having to know what is in every single food on the planet, essentially. So that's one of the benefits, I guess, of being a dietitian. But I think even if you are somebody that doesn't have a nutrition background and you've just been someone who tracks using a tracking app, you can get pretty experienced just from kind of doing it repetitively and seeing what the macronutrients are of certain foods. So it can feel tiresome at times if you are brand new to tracking, and it can feel like it's very restricted if you are on low calories. So that's kind of another reason why I encourage people to, try to reverse or, improve or repair their metabolism, because you can get to that kind of freeing space and have greater food flexibility and not have to worry about everything that you eat if you can work your calories up to that certain point. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. I don't need to, be in my phone every time tracking everything, religiously, because I'm not dieting. But it will change if I diet again. So it just depends where you are in that pathway. So anyway, now let's go and have a look at my compliance this week to my macros. We'll talk about what they actually were, my proteins, carbs and fats, whether I was doing some calorie cycling. I had a couple of days in there where I planned to have higher calories, whilst the weekdays I think were going to be lower. And then I'll talk to you about what I'm going to be doing this week and how it may affect my weight. All right, so here is last week. So we are week 19, I guess, since my show, but week 16 technically of the reverse, if we take out all those failed attempts, mini cut, dumb idea. Anyway, so last week I had given myself a small increase in carbohydrate and fat since I was getting back on the reverse dieting bandwagon. And I did very well throughout the week. So we can see here Monday through to Friday, macros were relatively good. I had quite a high day on Wednesday with my protein. I'm not sure what I did there. Oh, I do. We got given some meals and the protein intakes were much higher than what I was anticipating. And then when I went back and did my tallies at the end of the day, like I just mentioned I do, I was like, oh, oops, that was much higher than I thought it was. So that's why my protein was a little bit high here. But you can see then over the weekend up to 2,700 and 24.96 on Saturday and Sunday. So it actually takes my weekly average up to 2,055. But here's what happened with my weight. So at the beginning of the week I was 67.5 and then by the end of the week 68.2, and that was coming off that really high calorie day and a couple of higher fiber days too. So that kind of has a roll-on effect. So Thursday I had 28 grams of fiber and then Saturday 26, coupled with some high calories. That kind of explains why my weight took a little bit of an increase. So I have actually put on quite a bit of weight in the last 14 days, I guess 66 up to 68, 2 kilos or just under 5 pounds. And I can see it. It's uncomfortable in a number of ways. I guess visually you're used to seeing like a shredded version of yourself and it's like, oh yeah, great. But like I said in our chat earlier, I think just the energy that I have with my training and the improvements I've seen in not only my deadlifts, but my squats. Like I hit an equal PR last week without really even thinking about it with my squats. So I was doing like 255 for 5. Like that's awesome for me. So I've kind of just decided, well, we're here. Rather than trying to undo and get some body fat back off, that's going to take work. That would require me to get back in an active deficit, and I don't want that because it just impacts my training. So I'm kind of just being okay with this weight and focusing on the things that I want to focus on. And again, it's always been my legs. So I've been really going hard with all of my lower body trainings. You can see here I've got 4 lower body sessions and 1 upper. That upper session is a little bit longer. So most of the lower body sessions that I'm doing here that you can see are anywhere from 3 to 4 sets, relatively high RPE, and I'm trying to progressively increase each week. Whereas this upper session, it's always 4 sets to 5 sets in the weeks of progressive overload. Because I'm only doing it once, that session does have a slightly longer duration just to make sure I'm getting enough volume. So That's kind of how I'm getting around that, just to maintain my upper body, but focus mostly on my lower. Got my steps in pretty easy this week, but again, I do have to do an hour walk to do that, and that's every morning. I kind of get up, listen to a podcast, plan my content for the day, or kind of work out what I need to get done and what order. So that's kind of what I do while I'm out walking. And then I did a couple of different bike rides over the weekend just with friends to get some vitamin D because, you know, it's nice to get outside. We're cooped up inside working for most of the day. And yeah, it's a nice way to get outdoors and not sweat because it's hot just walking here. But the bike, you get a bit of breeze, which is nice. So anyway, back onto these macros. I did a little bit of calculation earlier, and I just wanted to see if we take out these 2 really high days, what my actual averages were. So you can see here, I kind of came in at 106% above my target during the weekdays, which is not like crazy. I've done much worse. You can see here, like if we take into consideration the entire week, I'm at like 20% over my calories. So I'm surprised my weight didn't go up more, but you know, I'm feeling really good. I don't feel like my these high days were like binges. It was just, okay, I'm eating to my satiety and my hunger cues, and it felt really controlled, and I just felt very relaxed. There was nothing like overindulgent about it. If I wanted to have something to eat, I would. And I just made sure that I hit my protein target. So, yep, I did go over, but if we wanted to quickly check what my actual protein targets were from Monday to Friday, let's put an average, put some brackets in there, divided by my goal. Okay, let me just quickly make that a percentage. So yeah, I was about 12% over my protein targets from Monday to Friday because of the couple of high days. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. It just means I've had more calories than I needed. So anyway, what are we going to do this week? Well, last week my average intake was 20.55 and my weight did shoot up to 68.2. It is what it is. So what I'm actually going to do this week is kind of just match what I did last week. I felt really good, felt really strong. So here's what I'm going to do. So increasing up to 210 carbohydrate on average and 68. Now how that pans out across the week is probably going to look similar to what I did last week. I'm relatively structured during the week. I'll make up a couple of different meals. I have like a normal routine, a weekly routine, and then on the weekends it's a little bit more open, and I'll probably have some higher days. So yeah, I think the key for me is just making sure that I am hitting my protein and staying within a relatively close range of my carbohydrates and fats. Now that I have allowed myself that flexibility, I think it's going to be a lot easier and I guess less mentally fatiguing trying to be restrictive, you know, like the mini cut macros were. So that's the plan for this week. Not anticipating any weight decreases. I think I'll probably hold steady around this 68 mark now. It kind of is my new normal. But I can see the increases in muscle mass in my quads already. You know, my glutes are growing. You know, I can see it. It's happening even this soon. So I guess I'm probably one of the lucky people that have genetics that really, I guess, encourage growth and hypertrophy. Some people probably hate me. I know Lane always gives me shit because just in like my 6-month period between my last shows, I think I put on like 1.5 or 2 pounds of lean body mass. And then in the 8-week period between my shows last year, I think I put on another 1 pound of lean muscle. So like when I put my efforts to training, I think I make some significant progress. So I'm kind of hoping that happens again this time, and I just have to kind of bear with a little bit of extra body fat. But I just feel so much better and my mood is better. Like I'm just like, aside from the fact that I'm not happy occasionally, just don't look at the mirrors. Oh, good. So yeah, same training split. This is my final week. I'll have a new program next week. And yeah, that's where we're at. So guys, if you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I hope you're enjoying the Life After Prep series. If you're not subscribed to my channel, go and give that a big subscribe, and if you like this video, give it a like and maybe share it with your friends. If you think there's anybody that will benefit from watching these series, I have like 5 other series that kind of take you through the fat loss phase of a contest prep, how I kind of come out of it into a reverse diet. We have 2 or 3 series of that, and I think there's always different information covered in all of them. So yeah, go and check those out too if you haven't watched my earlier seasons. So all right, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.